Is it really possible to travel without your business falling apart? The answer is yes, and if you've seen any amount of my content, you know that I travel quite a lot. I am very often in a new country, exploring somewhere new, on vacation, and I wanted to share with you today, how do I actually balance travel and business? What does that actually look like? How do you balance those two things? How do I enjoy the trips, actually spend time exploring other countries, and also see growth in my business at the same time every single year? So today I'm going to take you behind the scenes and show you what does it actually look like to go on a workation with me? What does a vacation actually look like? How do I even go about preparing to travel with my business? How do I go about preparing for complete time off in my business? What does that balance actually look like? And where do we find, if it's even possible to, this happy medium in between enjoying yourself while you're away and also still prioritizing your business at the same time? I could not even tell you how many trips I have been on with my business in the last few years since I've been running my business. It's been probably at least 20 that I would say, but lots and lots of trips, lots of flights, lots of time abroad. Some of those have been what I would call workations, where I'm still really bringing my work along with me. I'm still doing client calls on the go. Some of them have been full-on vacations where I have been absolute bare minimum in my business. And I'm going to show you what that looks like, the bare minimum, and how I've prepared for that in, the month before. And I want to just break down today, how do I actually balance these two things? How can you balance actually taking a bit of time off, whether that is fully or whether that's half time off in your business? And how can you actually set yourself up for that? How can you do that at every stage of business? Because I've done this in the very early days of my business. I've done this in recent months and years. I'm going away in a few days to Poland as well. So there'll definitely be some clips of that in this video as well. But what does it actually look like to travel with your business is the question I'm answering today. So as you know, I've traveled a lot with my business. We've done some workation style ones. For example, when I went to Sicily and Italy for a month, I flew in a photographer as well, which sounds so wild, but I was like, this is going to be the best possible shots I could get for my type of business. So we'll do it in Italy. So had a photography shoot in Italy in the Airbnb, which we were in. It was 3 terraces. It was absolutely gorgeous, but that was a month there and we were kind of working at the same time. So it was a workation there with a remote working group. And at the same time, I've done on the flip side of that, Disney World trips where I was in Disney World for 2.5 weeks and was barely working. I did the absolute bare minimum. I was about 4 hours a week in my business at that point. It was just a few pieces, i.e. checking client messages. I had a couple of calls which I had to do, but I was able to schedule everything pretty much around that. So there was no content creation, no showing up, everything was going out. But the crazy thing was with that trip, everything was still running as normal. So you literally couldn't even tell I was away because everything had been pre-scheduled, which we absolutely love. And we'll be talking about more in this video as well. But there's been a whole variety of trips, right? There's been ones where I've been fully working. There's been ones where I've been 4 hours a week working and really pulling back from my business. So I'm going to show you what that actually looks like for all of those types. So let's dive into how I actually set up my business to have this freedom and to have this flexibility to be able to actually travel. And the very first thing it really comes down to, I would say, is my offers and how I've set up those specifically. So as you know, I pretty much only do one-to-one coaching. I absolutely love one-to-one coaching. I've built my whole business off of this model. It is the simplest and best possible model in my opinion by far. And with this, I have 3 calls a month with most of my clients. There's a few which are on packages, which are, largely spotlight support. And then we just have 1 call a month with those people. So it varies a little bit with that, but typically I'll have 3 calls a month with most of my clients. And that means firstly, I have an off week where I don't have any calls, which is always really nice. And I'm able to fit that around travel very nicely. And I did that intentionally. So I would always have a week where firstly, if I was sick, I can always move calls very easily and not needing to double up at all, which is really nice. And also I have a week where I don't actually have anything hard set in my calendar. There's nothing I need to be sitting down in front of a laptop for. So if I want to go away for a week and a half, I can very easily do that without having a single call on my schedule. For example, when I'm in Poland, I actually have no calls on my calendar for while we're there, and we're there for a week and a half. There's not a single call on my calendar. Again, I'm a full-time one-to-one business coach, but I have no calls because I'm utilizing my off week. We are leaving on the Thursday, so I've got calls the next few days, but we're leaving on that Thursday, and then I have no calls for the next week and a half. So I'm really able to fit the trips around when I don't have calls. So it means that I'm not needing to actually take any calls while I'm abroad whatsoever. And also at the same time, not needing to pause any contracts or anything like that. My clients are still fully getting the exact services they pay for. There's no pause by me taking any time off there. and I'm able to then still support them just on the go, just through voice and text messages inside our Spotlight app, which is my client hub and the app I use for client communication there. Now, even for the trips when I am traveling and I am fully working, for example, then I will also have set call days. So it means that, again, I'm not needing to spend every single day tied to my laptop and have to be in a place with Wi-Fi where I, am able to take a call, all of those things. I'm just having set call days. This will usually be a couple of days through the week for those few weeks of the month that I have calls. And it means that the other days I actually, again, don't have any rigid schedule at all. There's nothing that I need to be there for. It's just creating some content. It's just showing up for my clients and actually supporting them there. Any new program creation, anything like that I'm doing, but that can all be done on the go and it can be so flexible. So I can very easily say, yeah, cool, we'll do this exploring during the day and we can do a little bit of work in the evening, or we can take a day off very easily. And it's really easy for me to do that because of, again, how my offers are structured to actually support that in the first place. There has been so many times I have fully done my client messages for the day while I'm at the airport, and I will be at the airport, waiting in the lounge, ready to board the flight, and I will be just responding to my clients just while I'm on the go. And it's really easy for me to do that because it's literally all on my phone. I don't even need Wi-Fi, I just need 4G. Don't even need any fancy anything. I don't need to be sitting in front of a laptop or anything. I can just do that on the go, which is really, really nice. And it allows me to be very active with my clients even while I'm traveling as well. Now, the second part which really, really plays into this is content creation and marketing. And how do I schedule this around? Because I know for a lot of people, this is one of the biggest time sucks in business. And this is where a lot of time can be spent. And especially the idea of taking any time off. We know that if we're just gonna say, okay, cool, I'm just gonna go off tomorrow and I'm gonna be off for 2 weeks. If there's no content going out, if there's no marketing emails being sent, if there's no promotional materials whatsoever going out, we're probably not going to be signing clients, and we're probably not going to be really moving things forward in the business, getting new leads, anything like that, even nurturing leads. We're not really going to be doing anything. So then the time off does mean that the business is halting. It does mean that progress is pausing, and that's not a problem, but we have to be aware of that. And also I want you to be aware that that isn't the only option as well. Perfect example, when I went to Disney World for 2.5 weeks, I was, as I said, working just 4 hours a week there. So it was just supporting my clients. That was all I was doing. Nothing else was happening at all, apart from me posting some random Instagram stories of just the highlights of the trip, because obviously wanted to share that. But other than that, there was literally nothing happening. And at the same time, I was posting on Instagram 5 times a week through that whole vacation, and also emailing my list several times a week, my email list. So you wouldn't even notice that I was on vacation if you didn't actually know, because all the content was still going out. I was still selling my offers. I was still getting people signing up as well. I was getting discovery calls booked while I was there for when I was back, because I blocked off that time in my calendar, so I wasn't able to have calls during that time. But I was still getting things moving forward. Things were still happening. Progress was still being made while I was off, because my content was still going out. And I think that's a really important thing to look at. Of actually, you can absolutely decide you're gonna have a complete vacation and just nothing's gonna go out and we're just gonna have a complete pause. And also, I don't think that's necessarily, for most people, the best decision, because actually, if you can still have things going out, even just lightly, and you kind of go on a light mode of, okay, we're gonna have 2 things a week going out, for example, and that's all it's gonna be, nice and easy for myself there for planning that ahead of time. Even if you're just doing that, it means you're still staying top of mind for your audience. Your ideal clients are still seeing you every single week. They're still actually, being in your space and they've got something from you. So it's going to be easier when you do come back. It's not going to feel like I've paused my momentum. You're still going to be feeling that momentum that you felt before you left and still seeing the progress, because you've still been putting things out while you were away. But again, that doesn't mean that you need to be doing the things while you are away. So perfect example, when I went to Disney World, I spent the month before that just batching some content. So every week I would just spend a few extra hours just batching a bit of content for that time that I was away. Now, I didn't just batch for that 2.5 weeks that I was away. I also batched for an extra 2 weeks after I was back, because I think the worst thing that can possibly happen is you get back from a trip and then you just have this huge load of work hit you and you just think, ugh, I don't really almost want to get back into work. I'm not feeling exciting. I'm not feeling motivated for this, because I just have so much ahead of me. I have so much on my plate, because now I'm, back, but I have no content scheduled at all. So I need to instantly get back into that. And I'm really behind on this, so I need to catch up on this. that is the worst possible feeling coming back from a vacation. So I wanted to build a bit of a runway for myself where actually I could come back and everything is as if it just never happened. The gap, right? There was no gap. There's nothing noticeable because I already, again, at the point I'm arriving back, have 2 weeks more of content scheduled. So I can be very relaxed jumping back into work. So I spent that month before batching the heck out of my content. So everything was pre-scheduled, everything was set to go, everything was already posting up. I didn't need to think about it at all while I was away. And this is so helpful. And for that trip, for example, being 2.5 weeks and me wanting to do the extra 2 weeks of content after that as well, I started about a month before I left for actually batching that content then. So I was just doing a little bit extra each week, just a few extra posts each week, a few extra emails, just to make sure I was fully set then for the time that I was going away. And to be honest, regardless of whether you're planning on doing a workation or a vacation, it really doesn't matter here. I think it's so helpful to just have some things batched ahead of time, because I think even if you're planning on, okay, I'm gonna, work from this certain location, or I'm gonna fly here and just work from here for a week, even if you're planning on doing that, it's just so nice and just reassuring to know that I don't have to work, because I think it's really nice to get to go and experience those places and want to work and to find it really exciting, the idea of, oh, I get to work from this location, or I can go to this new cafe and work from there. That sounds exciting. But being in the place of, I have to work because I have this thing which is due tomorrow and I have this project which needs to be done in 3 days' time, that kind of sucks, and it kind of takes the enjoyment out of it. And then there are times when you'll, be away and feel like I have to stop and not do this thing that I really want to do right now, or this thing which is on tonight, which sounds really fun, and I have to do this instead. So actually getting yourself to a place where you can get a little bit done beforehand, perhaps, of the things which you really need to do. So a lot of the work that you're doing there is a lot less pressured, and it just feels like a bit more enjoyable and feels a bit more like I'm choosing to do this versus I have to do this as well. Especially for example, remote working trips. I've been on a couple of those where they are month long and it's just a group of people and everyone's just co-working together, all living together for a full month, all from different industries, all from around the world, living together in this place, working together for a month, and they are so, so exciting. But especially for those, there are so many just things going on that you really can get FOMO, right? In case if you're feeling like I'm really, really busy and you're feeling like, okay, I would love to go and do this thing in the evening, which everyone's going to do, or I'd love to check out this thing which is happening this certain afternoon, but I have to do this certain work. Actually eliminating as much have-tos as possible. Of course, there'll still be some if you're planning to do a workation, but actually thinking about how can I eliminate those have-tos as much as possible beforehand, so I have a lot of flexibility in my schedule and I'm able to move things around a lot, really makes a difference for when you're actually working and still being able to enjoy the trip as well. So a few things that I would put in place if you are planning on actually taking a trip and taking any amount of time off in your business, a few things I would always say to put in place beforehand is, number one, getting the things scheduled. So the content, the emails, all of those things, including that runway time after. Even if it's just a few days, it makes the world of difference coming back and knowing, hey, I also have another week of content scheduled, so I don't even need to think about it and I don't need to be, instantly back to work and 100% on, because you're probably not going to be. It's going to take a little bit of time to ease back in, maybe a few days after you've taken a longer trip away, especially if it's a full vacation. So actually giving yourself the best start back possible by making it easier on yourself is always a good hack there. And then secondly, letting your clients know when you're going to be away. So if you're going to be away and you're not going to be available for certain days, letting them know that. So for example, with me with the Disney World trip, I was still available in messages for my clients. So I was still able to be there if they wanted to drop me a message, if they had a question. I was still fully there throughout the weekdays, exactly as we would normally have. But there was a couple of days where I was going to be traveling, so I wasn't going to be available for just those couple of days. So you can let your clients know and let anyone who, is on a team, for example, know that you're not going to be available during those certain days, just so, again, you're not having people messaging you and wondering why you're not responding and getting confused by that. It's just really clear ahead of time when they're going to be able to speak to you and when they're going to be able to communicate with you there. And another thing I would absolutely set up as well is what is going to be a bit of a sales plan while you're away. Now, before you switch off at that idea, I think it's so fun to be able to see, okay, while I am away, do I want to make some sales? Because firstly, I think it's really helpful for you to reinforce this idea in your brain that actually I don't need to be constantly on to be making sales, to be seeing things moving forward, to get people signing up for my new lead magnet, for example. Actually thinking about how can I potentially make some sales while I'm away is always so fun, and really just a nice way to have that vacation, have that time as well. So actually thinking about this, not from a perspective of, okay, I need to show up and do a really hard launch, or I need to constantly be selling every single day while I'm away, anything like that, but actually in that content you're pre-scheduling anyway and is going out anyway, what do you want to be selling in that content? Is there a passive offer you have? Can it be leading towards booking a discovery call with you? What do you want to do that would feel really exciting to actually have that result happen while you're away? And then you can come back and see, oh, I've had a couple of discovery calls booked for when I'm back, or I had a few people sign up for this lead magnet or anything like that. It is so nice to actually utilize that content as not just filler content and feel like I just have to put something out for the sake of it while I'm away, but actually what can I do that would move the business forward and actually put me in a really exciting space for when I'm getting back as well, especially if you're on vacation fully. So I hope that has been a good insight into what it looks like to travel and do business at the same time, and how I've actually balanced both of those, found a really nice balance between those, and how you can as well, and what it could even look like if you're thinking about taking a workation or a vacation anywhere. Would love to know what would be your dream destination to either run your business from and do a little workation, or your dream vacation destination for 2025. Would love to know, put that in the comments to add to my list as well, to give me some inspiration, because I'm always looking for new places to go. And I would love to know, have you ever tried working remotely at all? Have you ever tried working from somewhere else that you don't typically work from, or taken a vacation completely unplugged in your business? Because I know a lot of business owners haven't yet taken the leap to do a full kind of vacation in their business. So I would love to know if you have. Where have you been? How was it? When did you do that? And thank you so much for watching. If you like this type of content talking about travel and business and how I really fit those two together and what it looks like to travel with my business, and if you want to see a bit more behind the scenes into the traveling with the business, make sure you give this video a like to let me know that you enjoy this type of video and you want to see more of these, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss new videos every single Monday. And on that note, I will see you in the next one.